Hi guys. So this video is about finding a quadratic from 3 points. Now to do that, I'm going to introduce you to a tool that one of the very first websites I've built. Okay, particularly interactive websites. Now, this should work on your phones, on your just about anything you've got. Now we get at it. One way to get at it is you can just look at the website, but one way to get it is by clicking on Blackboard on quadratics from 3 points. And what we're going to learn about today is how do we find a quadratic from 3 points. Now, why 3 points? Why not 2 points like we did with lines? Well, since quadratics have an A, B, and C, we need 3 points to find a quadratic formula. Like over here. Here's 3 points. Okay? Now, the tool, okay, once I click on that guy, I get this little thing. And what I'm going to do is the first step to using this is going, now none of this requires this tool. It just helps you organize. But it makes it a little easier, and it does a lot of checking for you. So the first point was 2 is x, and negative 13 is y. Oops, minus 1, 3. Okay, the next point I have is 5, and this has negative 7. And the last point is 10, and this is 43. And the idea, okay, so the underlying idea of this gadget is a quadratic, okay, is ax squared plus bx plus c equals y. Now, and I have an x and y. This is going to turn into 3 formulas. 4a, right? A times 2 squared plus b times 2 plus c equals minus 13. Otherwise, we can write this as 4a plus 2b plus c equals minus 13. And we can do that with each of these. And the gadget's going to do that. So it's going to, so when I click on fill equations here, it's going to make 4a plus 2b plus c equals minus 13. So this is x. This is going to be 25 times a plus 5 times b. That's what the 5 is going to turn into. Plus c equals minus 7. And this guy, the 10 is going to turn into 100a plus 10b plus c equals 43. Now, so we have 3 equations in A, B, and C. So that's what I'm looking at here. Now what this is going to do, okay, and that thing does that automatically for you. So these are ax squares, bx plus c equals y. Now the thing is, we can subtract any 2 of these and get rid of c. So what I'm going to do is use that to get 2 equations in A and B. That's what's going to happen here. Then I'm going to make all of these equations in 1b. by dividing everything by the b coefficient. That's the number we're multiplying b by. And then I subtract those two equations, and I get an equation just in A. Only A. And we know how to solve an equation with one variable. We solve for A. Then we take one of these equations in A and B, and we solve for B. And then we take the A and B from the very first equation. 4A plus 2B plus C equals -13. Once we know A and B, it's easy to solve for C. And that's going to give us A, B, and C tells us we'll have ax squared plus bx plus c. So that is the process we're going to follow. So the first thing we're going to do is it says subtract the first equation from the third to eliminate c. All right? So while I'm at it, before I get into that, I'm going to copy this into our lecture notes. So stop that. Where's my copier? There. And I'm going to move my face out of the way of this a little bit. Okay, so I'll go boom. And this is going to get copied into our lecture notes. Copy my face into. What the heck? They belong. My face fits beautifully. And so, oh, that's wrong. Let's change that. Yeah, that could cut off. Let's go there. Do that. Boom. I got the whole thing, including the fill equation button and my face. There. See if that came in. Yeah, there it is. Now, so we'll put that in the lecture notes to help you. Now that we've got all of that in, the next step, okay, is going to be to put in to subtract the first, that's equation 1, from the third, that's equation 3. Okay, so when we take 100a minus 4a, it's going to have 96 a's. Well, I get 10 b's minus 2 b's, it's going to give us 8 b's. And 43 minus negative 13, minus a minus is a plus, so that's going to give us 56. 96 a's plus 8 b's equals 56. And c minus c cancels out. No more c. Okay? So, we'll be able to solve only with a and b. Now, the next part is going to be to take equation 2 from equation 3. So instead of 4, we're going to subtract 25 from 100. So we're going to have 75 a's. Oops. Put that in here. Subtract the second from the third. So we get 7. Oh, before I do that, I click here to check my work. You see, if any of these lines is done wrong, the whole thing's going to come out wrong. So I put checks in before every one of these. So we'll get 75 a's, and 10 minus 5 is 5. And 43 minus 7 is 36. And I click on that, and I got the y coefficient wrong. I gotta fix it. So you see, when I make a mistake, it's 43 minus negative 7. That's 43. Minus a minus is a plus. 43 plus 7 is 50. And now it's correct. Okay. We have that. We have 2 equations with a and b. Now what I'm going to do is it says I'm going to divide every number of the fourth equation. That's this equation over here. Equation number 4. Okay? by the b coefficient. That's the number next to b. That is 8. So you see this 8 here. We're going to divide everything by 8. 96 divided by 8 is 12. 8 divided by 8 is 1. The thing is so smart, it knows that already. And 56 divided by 8 is 7. And let's see, did I do that right? Now, it wants me to divide. The second is the fifth equation by its b coefficient. In this case, it's 5. So 75 divided by 5 is 25. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 50 divided by 5 is 10. And I click on this, and I got the coefficients wrong. Because 75 divided by 5 is not 25. It's not always as helpful as that one. It's 15. Okay? So I wrote this code a long time ago, and it's somewhat inconsistent. It's not. Okay? Now if I click on it, I got right. So don't get through this until you get it correct. So, at this point, I've reduced this from, to 12a plus 1b is 7, 15a's plus 1b is 10. I can subtract these two, and I'll just have a's left. So, I'm going to stop here and copy this into the notes. And I know, that the theory is this should give you a chance to absorb all of this. So I'm going to go, and this is going to go in our notes. So there you see. Now that we've done this, so I actually going to go back to the notes. So what I'm going to do is subtract 12 from 15, and I'm going to get 3 A's. 1b minus 1b cancels, and 10 minus 7 is 3. 3a equals 3. We divide both sides by 3, and we get a equals 1. Now I go back to the tool and put this result I've just figured out into here. A equals 1. And I click here. It's correct! Yay! So a is really equal to 1. So now I know it's a 1x squared quadratic. Now we plug 1 into equation 7. So 15 times 1, it figures that out for me. 15 times 1 is 15, plus b, 1b, equals 10. Let's solve for b. Well, we subtract 15 from both sides, and we get b is minus 5. That's also right. So now I get 1. So I go back to the equation that says 4a plus 2b plus c is minus 13. The very first equation we got when we filled the equations. So I didn't want to run this across the screen because on phones that makes it very difficult to read. So I broke it up into 3 lines. So we get 4 times a, that's 4 times 1, plus minus 5 times 2, plus c is 13. And let's see what I've done. Okay. So I'm going to copy that once again into our notes. What we have from now on, from here. And now solve for c. Okay. Okay, so that's going to give me 4 minus 10 plus c equals minus 13. Minus 6 plus C equals minus 13. We add 6 to both sides, and we get C equals minus 7. So I go back to the web page and say C equals 7 and click here. And it says I got the sign wrong. But, okay, so you hit OK, and it tells me C equals minus 7. So it gave me the courtesy of fixing C. So there you see it's fixed. So now I have all of that, and it gives me x squared plus minus 5x plus minus 7 is y. Now it does a little more for me. Okay? Or it should. Why didn't it do that? Okay, so let's click on that again. There. Now it says it's correct. Okay, so it fills it in. Sometimes you have to click on it twice. Okay, so it says for x is 2, what I entered is minus 13, and what this thing calculates is minus 13. When x is 5, I was supposed to get minus 7. What it calculates is minus 7. Now, I did this as much as anything else when I designed this to debug the program. Want to make sure it did the right thing. When I put in 10, I should get 43. I get 43. But I added one last little feature. Let's say I want to find out what this quadratic returns when it's 8. So I plug 8, I type 8 here, and click here. It tells me 8 gives me 17. If I click on this, so whatever I put in here, about minus 8. I click here, it tells me minus 8 is 97. Cool? And that is how all of this works. So